In India, some women carry swords, some carry prayer beads, and some carry heirloom saris stitched with the stories of two continents. Their wardrobes may be small in number, but their impact is immense. The Sikhs, the Jains, and the Parsis. Three communities, less than 3% of India's population combined. Yet their women's clothing holds some of the most fascinating lessons about equality, ethics, and heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to All About Her. And in today's episode, we have Dress Codes in Religion, Chapter 4 Faith, Fabric, and Identity. Sikh women form a vibrant part of India's cultural fabric. Out of the 20.8 million Sikhs in India, nearly 80% live in Punjab, the only Sikh majority state. The rest are spread across Delhi, Haryana, Himachal, and parts of Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Wherever they may be, Sikh women are instantly recognizable for their dignity, grace, and the balance they hold between tradition and modern life. Sikh women's clothing has always carried a dual character, regional on one hand, religious on the other. On the streets of Amritsar, most Sikh women wear the very common, the regular salwar kameez with a dupatta. But you step into a gurudwara and there is one universal clothing requirement. The head must be covered. A dupatta often does the job, though many women now tie a turban, the Dastār, once considered almost exclusively male. This brings us to the question, what does a turban mean for a Sikh woman? For some, it's a declaration of equality. The Sikh Rehat Maryada, it is a code of conduct finalized in 1945 and never made it compulsory for women. And yet, countless women adapted as a personal choice, echoing the early Khalsa spirit. Let's go back to 1699 on Baisakhi. At Anandpur Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh called upon the Sikhs to join Khalsa. He offered Amrit not just to men, but to women too. Men became Singh, meaning lions, and women became Singhni, meaning lionesses. They were equals in faith, equals in discipline, and equals in courage. The Sikh Chronicles even has records of women who took up arms, led the battle, defended forts in times of invasion. When a modern Sikh woman ties her Dastār today, she is stepping into that lineage, recalling that she too is part of the Khalsa warrior tradition. For others, the dupatta itself is enough, graceful, modest, a symbol of connection to the community. Both carry meaning, both are valid. Jain women form a much smaller community compared to the Sikhs, just 0.3% of the population. But their presence is significant, especially in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka. Uniquely, over 80% of the Jains live in the cities, making them one of the most urbanized religious groups in India. The guiding principle is not identity through visibility, but ethics through invisibility. Every day, a Jain woman wears and looks like how every other Indian looks. But the choice of fabric and material carry the weight of the deepest philosophy, Ahiṃsā, which means non-violence. Silk, for instance, is discouraged because traditional silk involves boiling silkworms alive. Leather is avoided as it means harm to animals. Even wool can be problematic. At the end, it results in a preference for cotton, linen, and increasingly non-silk alternatives. But the most striking expression of this principle is seen in the Jain ascetic women, especially among the Shvetambara order. Their clothing is entirely white, plain, undyed, simple. White is not about style here. It's about renunciation and purity. And then there is the mupatti, a small white mouth cloth worn by many Shvetambara nuns. It seems like a minor detail, but its meaning is profound. By covering their mouth, they reduce the chance of inhaling and killing even microscopic life, and they discipline their speech. Every word spoken through is a reminder of Ahiṃsā. There are stories of Jain nuns walking barefoot for miles, sweeping the ground gently with a small broom before each step to avoid crushing insects. Their clothing becomes a part of a large discipline, a visible sign of an invisible ethic. Even the lay Jain women, though not ascetics, are influenced by this sensibility. The choice of a cotton sari over a silk one may look ordinary to others, but within the Jain community, it is a quiet act of devotion. Parsi women's clothing tells us a story of migration, adaptation, and cultural fusion. Having arrived from Persia centuries ago, Parsis absorbed the Gujarati and Indian styles, but stamped them with their own identity. The most iconic example is the Parsi Gara sari. These saris, embroidered with intricate motifs of birds, flowers, and even Chinese scenes, became popular in the 19th century thanks to the Parsi trade with China. A Gara sari was not only a piece of clothing, it was an heirloom, a family's connection to both India and the wider world. Even today at weddings, Parsi brides often wear these saris, preserving a tradition that began with their ancestors' global journey. But beyond the beauty of embroidery lies the everyday discipline of faith. Every Parsi woman, like every Parsi man, wears the sudre and the kusti, a sacred white shirt and a girdle tied with prayers. This is not optional. It is a daily act of remembrance, tying oneself to the teachings of the Zoroaster. Inside fire temples, a head covering is mandatory. Even a scarf or a dupatta is fine. It's a simple gesture, yet a deeply significant, an acknowledgement of humility before the sacred flame that represents divine light. The duality here is very striking. On one hand, Parsi women may wear rich Gara saris that reflect centuries of cultural exchange. On the other hand, the plain white sudre beneath reminds them of the simplicity, discipline, and faith. When we look at Sikh, Jain, and Parsi women side by side, three different philosophies emerge. Sikh women's clothing reflects identity and equality. Whether through Dupatta, Dastār, it ties them back to the Khalsa and the principle of oneness. Jain women's clothing reflects ethics and restraint. Every choice guided by Ahiṃsā, from avoiding silk to the ascetic white robe. Parsi women's clothing reflects heritage, rich Gara embroidery, carrying stories of trade, migration, alongside the quiet constancy of the Sudre Kusti. These are not just garments, these are philosophies made wearable. They are faith stitched into fabric. And it leaves us with one question. In India, where women today wear jeans, kurtas, western dresses as easily as a sari, do these traditional codes still matter? Do we really understand their true essence?